Today's video might ruffle some feathers, but allow me to show you that there's a method to the madness. Now I know what you're thinking. Fixing 3 large boats at the same time sounds like a terrible plan. And you're absolutely right. Yet somehow I found myself in this peculiar situation where it seems the only way out is to finish these 3 boats. And by finish I mean getting them all into proper working condition with all the essential amenities and no major unfinished areas left behind. That is of course assuming I don't pick up any more boats in the meantime, and we all know with me that's always a possibility. Now exactly how I got myself into this mess is a story for another video. For today I just want to give you a snapshot, a timestamp of where things currently stand in this seemingly impossible and ever-growing project. Let's start here on my main boat, the one I've been living in for about 1.5 years now. I'm currently building some foldable Murphy-style beds with a steel frame. I had actually planned to show you how I built the frames with a reveal of the finished beds at the end of today's video, but unfortunately my welder broke down mid-project and had to be sent back to the manufacturer for repairs. Now the beds are kind of double folding, meaning not only can the beds fold up, but the entire frame can also fold away to help us retain the space in the big room in case we want to host some events. This is of course where our beds are currently located, but it's only temporarily. Anyway, moving on here in our main boat, the boat is finally starting to feel livable. The kitchen and bathroom are now fully functional, so we can live a normal life again. Even during this past winter, which was especially harsh for Berlin, as you can see in these images, the temperatures stayed so low for so long that the entire lake froze over and we ended up stuck on the boat for over a week. At first, we tried breaking through the ice, but eventually it became impossible. We just had to wait it out until it melted. Despite this, the boat stayed surprisingly comfortable. The heating and insulation are actually doing a great job. In terms of layout, I think I made the right choices. Sure, it would be nice to have a bit more room for the kitchen, bathroom and my little office and storage space, but we really love the large open area and the fact that you can see outside in nearly every direction no matter where you are in the boat. What's still missing are proper curtains or some other way to reduce or completely block the light coming in from outside. But with so many different shapes and sizes of doors and windows, it's been tricky to figure out, so we're still working on that. Up front, I finalized most of the interior. All the window frames are finished now. On the right side of the opening window, I used plastic based on your feedback not to use MDF like I did on the other side. I've also added a black ceiling up here, while in the back we'll probably go with a lighter tone. For the electrical setup, I've installed a few large socket panels which I just bolted straight onto the steel frame. And yes, I know a lot of you disapprove of my private dance floor, but I've made some upgrades here too. I welded a custom deck rack, but I know that you guys don't want to see this, so let's move on to the barracks boat. We'll get there through my secret entrance, which leads straight into our makeshift workshop. Now before we go check out the barracks boat, I have to admit something. I don't own a single bottle of perfume, simply because I'm scared of buying the wrong bottle and then being stuck with a scent I don't like. That is, until I found out about Scentbird, a monthly fragrance subscription that lets you try designer and niche scents for just $8 your first month, then $16.95 after that. This month I got these 2 fragrances. They were recommended to me after taking a short quiz on Scentbird's website. This one's called Matchbox Romance, and just like every scent, it comes with a little card describing the fragrance notes and ingredients. Pro tip: let it air dry, as rubbing would break down the scent molecules and change the way it smells on your skin. So click the link in the description or scan the QR code and use my promo code BOAT to get 55% off your first month at Scentbird. Alright, now please follow me to our little workshop inside the barracks boat. It may look small, But having a space like this is incredibly helpful when you're living on the water. For example, this is where I did all the welding for the folding bed frames. And since this boat is already pretty beat up, I can weld and grind without worrying about damaging the floors. And so, I apologize for the mess. In fact, we need to strip this entire boat down to the bare steel, which means everything has to go. We did already start in one room here at the rear. Here you can see the condition of the bilge. I've done some tests to check the thickness of the steel, and it's all within a very acceptable range. The plan is to treat the entire bilge with Overtrol oil to prevent it from rusting further. Sooner or later we'll have to take the boat out of the water, but I can't say for sure when exactly this will happen. The biggest issue with the barracks boat we've had so far is the leaky roof. We've been tackling that for a while now. First, we cut open the poorly repaired areas left by the previous owners. The biggest section being this area here at the rear. I had to replace large portions of the roof plate covering this area, which I simply welded onto the plate I was able to salvage. Next, I used a strong adhesive to create a tight seal between the new plates and the roof. After that, I secured the large plate in place with dozens of rivets fastening it to the existing roof structure. For the paint job, I first applied a layer of Overtrol oil. And because it's an oil, it needs to be washed away with an industrial degreaser. And now I'm putting on a coat of Vert 2K epoxy ground. This is my absolute favorite paint and it comes in my favorite color. And although it's a bit tricky to work with, I use it wherever I can. And of course, Berlin being Berlin, the next rainy day is never far off. And that's one of the reasons we've been working on this roof for over 2 months now, only making progress when the weather permits it. And so, between bad weather and a broken welder, this is why it's good to have a third boat, so we don't get bored in the meantime. But before we move on to the next boat, I want to share a bit of insight. I know some of you think I'm just a crazy guy who goes around buying boats left and right, and I've leaned into that image in some of my videos, mostly because it's kind of funny and, well, also a bit true. But the true story behind this boat is that one day my childhood friend came to visit me to help me out on the boat. You've probably seen him in quite a few of my videos over the past couple years. Well, he helped me out so many times for free, just out of friendship and love for the craft. He's an incredibly skilled builder in all sorts of areas and I've learned a lot from him. I felt like I wanted to give something back, so we decided to buy this boat as a shared project. He'd have a place to live and we would spend our free time fixing it up together. And maybe later we could turn it into a business of some sort. But like so many things in life, it didn't go as planned. He eventually moved on to other things and now I'm left with the boat. Which honestly isn't the worst outcome. Now I've got all this extra space and it's a really solid, well-built boat. So all things considered, it could have ended up a lot worse. And with that, let's move on to my very first boat. Stepping into this boat feels like climbing into a time machine. One that takes me straight back to my old problems, unfinished projects, and all the things I've been putting off for a long time. With this boat, I learned an important lesson about boats in general. If you're not fully committed with your time, effort, and wallet, a boat will deteriorate quickly. Things start breaking left and right, especially if it was a DIY build by someone who, at the time, didn't really know what they were doing. In our case, the water system is a complete mess. Cut-off pipes, temporary fixes everywhere, just whatever got the job done at the time. And now I have to go back and rework the entire system to get it functioning properly again. It's the same story on the exterior. We never really did much work on the outside, and over the years the situation hasn't improved. The paint is chipping everywhere and rust is slowly but surely making its way back. But there is hope. As it turns out, another friend of mine also from back out of my home country, recently lost his place here in Berlin. So for now, he's moving into my first boat, at least for the summer, and we're currently trying to get it finished up as much as possible so he can live here comfortably. I'm honestly really happy that this boat is finally being used again, even if not for its original purpose. And with that hopeful note, I'm going to end this video, hoping it helps you to avoid the same mistakes I did, because it's all too easy to end up in a situation with too many boat-related problems and not enough time or hands to deal with them. And maybe that's my purpose in this world, to help others steer clear of getting overwhelmed by boat projects. Who knows? Remember to click the link in the description or scan the QR code and use my promo code BOAT to get 55% off your first month at Sandbird.